Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rahma, and in today's video we are going to address an important topic, which is how to submit your manuscript to the journal of your choice. And if you guys remember in my previous video about how to write a paper and how to get published, one of the recommendations I gave you was to take a look at the journals that are sponsored by the Egyptian Knowledge Bank. These are open access journals. They are sponsored by the Egyptian government. You will not be paying any money to submit your work here. So this is a really good selection of journals for you. Let me just zoom in on that so you can see the list. And this is a pretty decent selection of journals. They cover a wide range of medical topics and non-medical topics as well. For example, you have the Egyptian Journal of Forensic Sciences, Egyptian Journal of Neurosurgery, the Bulletin of the National Research Center. Many of these have a pretty decent impact factor, I would say, and our scope is indexed. And I think it's a good starting place or a good starting point for those of you who are just starting off. And if you've watched my previous video and you have mind mapped an idea, 45 points, and you have a manuscript ready, I'm going to show you how you can submit your manuscript to any of these journals. The submission process itself, I do find, for some reason, I found that it was very much gate kept for some reason. I don't know why, but a lot of people don't know how to submit their own work. And for me personally, one of the things I regret is that not knowing how to do this sooner. If I did, I would have published a long time ago, like a lot earlier than I did. Like my first publication was in 6th year that I took the effort to try and make my own original thinking. If I had known how to submit that process itself, I would have started a long time ago. So I think it's really important if you are a medical student or a recent graduate and you're just touching base with research and you're watching my videos and you are listening and you're following the podcasts and you have an idea and you've written up a manuscript. Now you want to know, how do we get from manuscripts to a paper that is submitted? So like I said, one of my recommendations is to look at the Egyptian journals that are available to you. And one of them is the Egyptian Journal of Bronchology. I did recently get an acceptance letter for one of my publications here, so I'm super excited about that and can't wait to break it down for you in another video. But like I said, I take from my own medicine here. I'm not giving you advice that you can't utilize or isn't going to work for you. I am using my own advice and I'm submitting my own work to these journals, and I get my acceptances. And as long as I have published work on Scopus in a paper in a journal that has a decent impact factor, let's see what this one is. This one doesn't mention it, but it's probably mentioned on Scopus somewhere. But for me, I was comfortable sending my paper out to here. So I'm going to show you guys how to submit your manuscript. So you can see here, you already have a nice blue button here that says Submit Manuscript. So when you're going to click that, but before you do, I do want you to take a look at submission guidelines. So each journal has submission guidelines, which is super important for you to go through. They will tell you step by step what it is that they want. Depending on the type of paper. If you're doing research, you're going to click research. You're going to look at the steps of how it should be formatted, how things need to be organized. If it's a review, if you're following my videos, I recommend doing reviews. So you're going to click that and you're going to see exactly what it is the criteria is for this journal and what they want before you submit. Because if you submit like that, you're likely going to get it back and they're going to ask you to make some adjustments. So it shows that you care and you are a professional in what you do by looking at the submission guidelines first and sending it off so that you don't get that unneeded delay, which can be like 3 or 4 days essentially when you submit your work, the publishers themselves will look at the manuscript and check to make sure it suits the criteria. So that can be like 3 or 4 days delay for you. So you don't need that. So if you look at reviews, like I said, if you're following my videos and you are a student or a recent graduate or you're interested in the USMLE pathway and you want to do research, I highly recommend learning how to do a review. And we're going to look at the criteria and you're going to go through that. You're going to see that they want a title page, for example, and how it should look. And they have an abstract and they tell you don't exceed 350 words, for example. You want to make sure you match all of this criteria. You're going to go through all of this and make sure that your manuscript is adjusted to the criteria of this journal. journal. Once you've done that, you're going to go and you're going to click submit manuscript, okay? So I'm obviously not going to be submitting a manuscript for you. I'm just going to put in document files just as an example to show you the process itself, but not an actual manuscript. So you're going to log in. If you are not logged in or you don't have an account, you just click register now. So I'm just going to go back and show you that. You're going to click submit manuscript, and if you don't have an account, you are going to, okay, it just went through, but you're going to click register now. Let me log out just to show you guys that. But again, so if you don't have an account, all you're going to do is just click register now. If you follow through register now, I'm just going to, hopefully it'll just open up. And really, there isn't much to it. You're just going to put your name, your professional address, which is where the university address is that you're at. You're going to list your university, and you're going to list the country that you're coming from. You must only put the affiliation that you are associated with. You don't put any other affiliation, and you have to place the country that you are coming from, because that's important. In some journals, they will give you a 50% discount if you come from a certain country, or a 100% discount like in this one. So when I place my information here, like, you're just going to put your first name, last name, your email address, and then when you click continue, you're just going to put in that information. And let me just see if I can, I'll just make up any name, and just to show you guys what that looks like. Yeah, it's not letting me do that, I think, because I already have an account that's open on there. Let me just try. It doesn't sense that this is a fake email. Okay, so I just want you guys to see this page. So all you're going to do is you're going to put your username, your password, you're going to put your title, you're going to say doctor, you're going to put your first name, your last name, your degree, if you have an MD. If you don't, just leave it blank. Your email address, you're going to place your institution, and you just want to place it. You can easily look it up, and you can see that it should show you right away. Like for me, I would click this. For example, you should find your institution. You're going to place your country. That's really important. Like I said, this is related to certain discounts, to know what country you're coming from. So for this journal, for example, it knows that I'm Egyptian, associated with an Egyptian affiliation. So I don't pay any money for it because it's sponsored by the Egyptian Knowledge Bank for Egyptian researchers by the Egyptian government. So that's why it's really important to place the correct affiliation and country. And that's pretty much it. You're going to get some login information, and that should be all for that. So I'm just going to go back and log into my actual account. And when you do that, you'll just come back to this page. You put in your login information, and we're going to do submit manuscript. Submit a new manuscript when you're ready, when you've revised all of your work, and you're ready to submit, and you've made sure it matches the criteria of the journal itself. So I do have to kind of give a little bit of a disclaimer thing. This whole process takes a little bit of time. You're looking at about 30 minutes or so on a good day, because the editorial manager tends to lag a lot. And yeah, so you just be aware of that. You want to have some really good internet, or just work it through your data or something. For me, if I'm using a public Wi-Fi, it'll take 45 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to click our article type. So you're going to see review down there, or research, depending on what you're doing, or a case report, whatever it is that you're writing about. So you're going to click review, and you're going to click on proceed. And then it will take you to an upload page where you upload all of your work. So you're going to click browse, and I'm just going to place in any file, for example, and again, this is not related to the actual substance of this journal. I'm just showing you, for the sake of showing you, how to submit a paper to a journal. So you're going to place your manuscript here, and you're going to place in the description the word manuscript so that they know, and then you're going to click down, and you're going to click, if you have any tables, you're going to add them. So let's take a look at any table that I have here. Let's just go with that. And if you have more than one table, you can go ahead and browse again, and you can upload another table. Again, like I said, I'm just pulling any files from my desktop here just to show you what the process looks like. If you have any figures, okay, you're going to click down and you're going to click figures, and we're going to see if there's any figures here that I have, and I'm just going to use this as an example. So if you have table, you want to make sure that you label them correctly. So this was table 1 and this is table 2, and I only have one figure just for the sake of this example. You're going to click down here again one more time, and you're going to click Supplementary Material. This can be your title page and your letter to the editor, and we can do it in another video if you want me to just mention it, where you need to have a title page and that is separate from your manuscript and a letter to the editor, and in that you need to express to the editor what it is that you are trying to do, and what is the most important aspect of your work, like what is the points that you're trying to get across that makes it so vital and necessary that this work needs to be published. You got to convince the editor of that, right? So you're going to put that in supplementary material. In some journals, they will have a separate drop-down option for you that has title page separate and letter to the editor separate. Sometimes they don't, and it's kind of just jumbled into supplementary material or whatever it is. So when you have all your files uploaded, you're going to click proceed, and here you're going to get asked to identify the classifications of this paper. So if we're sending to the Egyptian Journal of Bronchology, I'm just going to say for the sake of this example that it's about pulmonary infections, and I'm going to add that classification if that's what my topic was on, and I'm going to go ahead and click submit and proceed. Next, we're going to go through something called review preferences. Again, like I'm saying, the speed that you're seeing this upload at is because I'm doing this on my data, not like Wi-Fi. So if you are using any public Wi-Fi or even like at home, it lags. It lags a lot. Using any editorial manager is very lagging. So you're looking at about half an hour of time for your work to be uploaded and stuff like that. So just if you have everything ready, I recommend doing it through your data just to make sure everything's just done seamlessly. Here you're going to get a choice to either oppose or recommend reviewers depending on the journal. Here it's asking me if I want to oppose reviewers. Typically you don't have reviewers to oppose, so we're just going to click proceed. We don't have any of that. Sometimes you might be asked to recommend reviewers. In that case, you can just look up the corresponding author information for some of the papers that you cited, of who you think might be an expert in that field that can review your work. So we're going to click proceed, and here we're going to mention, they want here for you to mention your cover letter. So ideally you want to have all of your documents open so you can just copy and paste what you had on your cover letter, and you're going to copy and paste that. Just for the sake of this, I'm just going to write the word cover letter, but again, ideally you want to have your documents open, your manuscript, your title page, your letter to the editor, so you can just copy and paste things in this section. Next, you're going to be asked for your declarations, which is a section in your manuscript. You have to have that, so you're going to say, I confirm that I provided my declarations. You're going to mention all of these things like ethics approval. Did you need it? Again, this is why I love reviews. Reviews are awesome because you don't need to do any of this stuff. You could just say ethics approval wasn't needed. Consent for publication not needed. Availability of data, there's no data for me to give you. Competing interests, there is none. Funding, there is none. Author contributions, acknowledgements. It's so simple to do a review. Like you are literally just, it's the easiest thing to write, and there isn't really any complications with regards to declarations here. Next is the study a clinical trial. So we're doing a review, and the answer is going to be no, and you're going to click yes, I am the author responsible for the submission. So again, you need to make sure that you are very serious when you are sending out your work here. This is your name, this is your professional legacy tied to your work. Okay, so you want to make sure that it meets all of the aspects of academic integrity. There was no misconduct that went in. All of the authors are legitimate people on that paper that did enough work to warrant being an author. You can take a look at the ICMJE criteria for authorship if you want to learn more about that. I did cover some of this stuff before in some of my videos about that, so we can cover that at another time. But again, like I said, you are saying that you are responsible. If something bad happens with your work, like especially if you're doing an original research project and there's some concerns about your data or your statistics, or if there's issues about plagiarism, they're going to email you about it, and you're going to be the one who has to answer all of those questions. So again, you want to make sure you are conducting your work with the highest level of ethics possible. If you're dealing with a review, this typically isn't a problem, which is why, again, I recommend doing reviews if you are a student or if you are new to the research world. So you're going to click proceed. Next is you're going to put in your title. Again, like this is why I said you want to keep everything open and all your Word documents should be open. But again, just for the sake of this, you would just be copying and pasting all of this information. I'm just filling this in just to show you guys the submission process, like I said. We're going to click next, and now you're going to get to your author section. So author section, you should pick up from your login details who you are, and then if you have other authors that you want to add, you're just going to click add another author, and you're going to place their title. If they are doctor, if they're not, just put Mrs. or Mr. Put in their name, and again, let's just put in a random name and their last name, and make sure if you are the corresponding author, you have the responsibility to make sure that each person has their name put in correctly, the way they want it, the way it's spelled properly. That's your responsibility if you are the corresponding author. If this person has an MD, just mention that, put in their email, and let me just do that. So just put in a fake email here. I'm just showing you how to submit, and put in the institution. So again, you should find your institution wherever you are in the world. So let's take a look at here, and I found the institution that we are dealing with, and you're going to place your country again. You're just going to put EG if you are from Egypt, and you're going to place that. If you want to add another author, you're going to click the Save Plus. If you're done, just click Save. Okay, then you're going to get down to funding information, and once again, this is why reviews are amazing. There is nothing for you to mention with regarding to funding bodies. Okay, so then you're going to click your build your PDF for approval. What is this? You cannot complete your submission until the following items are corrected. Okay, so attach files. There's something wrong with the files. Let's just go back and see what the problem is. Okay. So yeah, you have to make sure that everything here is correct. So it took me back there, and let's just skip all the way back to manuscript data, and we're going to click proceed so that it can build the PDF for approval. You got to give that like a couple of minutes for it to put everything together for you. Now we're going to get to this part here where you can read it, and it says that the Egyptian Journal of Bronchology is an open access publication, and article processing charge is levied on articles that are accepted for publication by the editors. The APC for this journal is supported through an agreement between Springer Nature and the government of Egypt. So thank you for that. We're going to see view publication charges, and you're going to see that it's zero. You're not going to be paying anything. So the publication costs are covered by the government of Egypt. Again, I take from my own medicine. The journals I'm recommending to you, I'm submitting my own work to. It's a really nice place to start off with. You don't want to jump into a predatory journal as your first try. You don't want to jump into a journal that's going to ask you for a couple $100 or even a couple $1,000. It's not a good place to start if you are a student. So again, I highly recommend this list of journals, and I will put the link in the description for you again, where you can find these journals exactly. So it's building the PDF. Like I said, just give that a minute. Okay. Yeah, looks like it needs another minute. So for the sake of this video, I am going to show you what the PDF looks like. After that, when the PDF is made, you are going to have the option to go back and revise something. Maybe you forgot to add a table. Maybe you forgot to, maybe you saw a mistake somewhere. You want to take this part a little bit slow. You want to make sure that everything looks right, everything was uploaded correctly, no missing tables, no missing figures, all the authors' names appear correctly. So you want to make sure that everything is seamless in that PDF before you click approve the submission. It does lag a little bit, but like I said, this process is so much longer if you are using just regular Wi-Fi. I do recommend using your data to do this whole process. Any editorial manager on any journal is very tedious to work with. You are gonna get like this date when you do click accept your submission. You can always come back in and log in and check the status of your work. So I will show you guys kind of what that looks like later. I have no idea why it's lagging like this. give it another minute or so. Not sure why it's taking so long, even on data. Okay, let me just go back because this is kind of unusual. Gonna go to submission waiting approval. It still says building PDF. I don't know why it's lagging even right now. But typically, I mean, I don't want to close the video off on this, but just give it a couple more minutes. This typically doesn't take much time like this, but let's see. Okay, so this is a little bit awkward. I'm not sure why it's not loading as fast as it should. But again, either way, I'm not going to click accept submission because this is obviously just an example. But after it says building PDF, it should say built PDF. In that case, I'm just going to show you kind of what that would look like on one of my revisions, just as an example, because this is not working. What you're going to get is this exact appearance where you're going to get the actual title of your work over here and the date that you submitted it. What you're going to get is action link, and you're going to get view submission. This is the exact same thing you would see on the other part of this where you're submitting your manuscript. So this is what we should be seeing, what we're not seeing it for some reason. But you're going to click your view submission, and you're going to get a PDF that has been built, and you are going to click that, and you're going to go over your manuscript, and you are going to check to make sure everything is in the correct order. You have your title, you have your abstract, you have the names of your authors, you have your letter to the editor or whatever that is, and you have your title page, you have the entire manuscript. You want to make sure everything is there in the correct order. You have your references, you have your tables, any figures that you made, and any supplementary material. Here for me, that was the letter to the editor, and this was a response to the reviewer. So that's typically what you would be getting. I'm just going to go back and check to see if this thing finished or not. Yes, for some reason it's bugging out. I don't know what that is. I've never seen that before. But it might be because I'm using like a whole bunch of other, I don't know if the system can sense that I'm uploading a bunch of weird stuff in the files, or it might be too large, I think. But so that's what you're going to get. When you do revise your submission, you are going to hover over this action link. Imagine this is the other submission file, not the revisions one, but you're going to hover over that, and you're going to get another option here underneath view, and it's going to be accept submission. Then you're going to click accept submission if you wanted to continue, and you're going to get essentially another page that looks exactly like this one, where you're going to see the date that your submission began and any status updates. You can just check every 4 or 5 days or something, depending on the speed of the journal, what it is exactly that they are doing to your manuscript at the time. If you don't want to proceed, you can go back and say remove submission, for example. So that's pretty much it. Obviously, I wasn't going to be submitting this example here. Oh, there it is. Okay, finally it worked. I have no idea why it took so long. But as you can see here, you'll see like your date submission began is here. Today's August the 2nd. And it says needs approval, right? So you're going to hover over it. Don't press, just hover. And you're going to click your view submission. And you are going to take a look at that. Like I said, make sure that everything is, in perfect order. So here's your example of your the manuscript draft. You have your author names. You have your actual text here. Scroll down, make sure everything is in perfect order again. You have your references. You have your tables. You have any charts or whatever, any images, any figures, and your supplementary material would be your letter to the editor, for example. So obviously this is just an example, so I'm not going to be accepting this. So I'm just going to, obviously for me, I'm going to be removing the submission. But for you, if you're following along and you revised your PDF and it looks good and it's ready to go, you're going to just hover over that and you're going to click approve submission. And when you do, it's going to tell you, do you want to approve the submission? You're going to click OK, and then that's it. It's in the system. So for the sake of this video, I'm obviously going to click cancel because this is not a submission. But that's it. That's exactly how you submit your work to any journal. Most journals follow this editorial manager, more or less, and that's it. So when you're done, you are going to just log in again if you wanted to, and you can just follow up on the submissions and get an update on what's going on. For my sake, for example, I already sent something that is going to get accepted. And I can't wait to break that down for you guys and just show you that paper. And again, if you get a response from the reviewers and you need to make a little revision, you're going to deal with that in this area. And I uploaded my revision and my response, and then just waiting for the response one more time. So again, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you learned something that is super, super vital. Like I said, I don't know why people gatekeep this information. If I had known how to simply submit my work, then I would have done that a long time ago. I would have started a long time ago, definitely at least like 2 or 3 years. Like my first publication was when I was in 6th year. And part of the frustration that I had was because I didn't know how to do this part of the process, right? I realized I can write, I can think for myself, I can do these things, but I didn't know how to go through this editorial manager. It's a lot easier than you'd expect. So when you guys have finished watching my other videos and you've brainstormed your ideas and you've taken a couple of those Coursera courses that I've mentioned and you have a manuscript that's ready, go ahead and send it out there. You have nothing to lose. In the best case scenario, you are going to get an accepted publication and you can place that on your CV and you can finally say that you have a research project that you've completed. And it is really the best feeling in the world. I highly recommend any student and any young graduate to partake in this. You know, find yourself a team of 1 or 2 other people that are dedicated just as much as you are and are serious about this, and, you know, piece together a paper and just go ahead and send it off. So I hope you guys found this video to be useful. Let me know if you have any questions and I'm happy to answer them, and I will see you guys in the next video.